Hey everybody, welcome to B. I guess it's B.I.V.I.P. still, but we really ought we ought to have some like Paul and like or something. We got to think of a new name for this segment. But for now, this is B.I.V.I.P. So welcome. I am the notorious B.I.V. You are my lovely B.I.P.s, and this is Paul.
Hey guys,
back for his sophomore appearance. Right?
Yeah.
Don't they call it the sophomore album whenever a band
does their second one?
Yeah, it's like their sophomore album.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And they're always like, oh, is it gonna be like if the first one was a big hit, then there's like the sophomore slump, right? Where it's like, oh, like we gotta be good. It's gotta be as good as the first one. If it's not, oh no, or whatever, right? Sophomore slump. Anyway, so last week we talked a little bit about music, and so I'll ask you first. So you're a junior high school teacher, so you're probably on like the cutting edge of what's cool, right?
I think there's definitely things that I know about and I'm in tune to because of that I wouldn't be otherwise.
Yeah.
Because my kids have grown up; they're in their 20s now. Right.
So what do you listen to? Or rather, let me ask you this: do you listen to stuff from like a certain era?
When I'm driving in the car, I usually just listen to more popular music, like whatever is more,
like on the radio,
like pop stations, yeah, on the radio.
Yeah, see, I don't commute anymore, so I don't even listen to the radio. I used to though. Yeah. Like when I commuted, I would just like turn on the radio because I had an old system in my car, so like I could listen. I don't even think it had a CD player. Maybe it did, but so I would just listen to what was on the radio.
Yeah, one of the radio stations I listen to is more like an older station, like 80s and 90s.
Okay.
But when I'm at home or at work, I listen to Pandora.
Okay, yeah, me too.
And then I can just kind of like make stations that are around what I like. So I have kind of an 80s Pandora station that I used to listen to a lot. Then I made kind of like an 80s and 90s Pandora station that I used to listen to a lot.
Okay.
And then my son is really into funk. And so lately...
Funk?
Yeah, last time he was, we were listening to music with him.
What the funk?
Last time he was over at my house, he was like, hey, can we listen to B.I.V.I.P radio on Pandora? Because B.I.V.I.P is his favorite funk band. And so I've been really...
Back with a V?
Yeah, I've been really enjoying listening to that station lately, which is a lot of funk and jazz and that kind of music.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
But I got to tell you...
Yeah?
So you introduced me to the toy dolls.
Oh, yeah.
And my brother... Yeah, my brother...
Back in the day?
Yeah. My brother,
toy dolls.
For some reason, was like, hey... I've been listening to Toy Dolls lately, so we listened to them, and then on Sunday, for Mother's Day, he and I were doing the dishes after Mother's Day dinner. That was like our contribution to Mother's Day, was doing the dishes after the big feast, and we were listening to the Toy Dolls, and it was so crazy. I hadn't heard them for decades, but I had those songs like memorized, like I could sing along with them like no big deal. So part of me wants to listen to Toy Dolls, but man, they are also pretty obnoxious. They're just like so
repetitive, kind of.
Well, just fast, just like and kind of loud and obnoxious,
Yeah.
But also, I've had Toy Dolls running through my head ever since Mother's Day too.
Well, they were really simple songs like that, so it's easy to like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Toy Dolls. I had two of their records on vinyl. Like that was my sum total of Toy Dolls stuff, but I had two vinyl albums of theirs.
And I'll bet you I probably recorded them on tape from yours and made my own copies because mine were not legit tapes. They were recorded.
We're definitely dating ourselves here.
Yep.
We're gonna date ourselves here. It's just inevitable. But yeah, we would like play the record on the record player and like have a tape cassette recording the album and stuff.
I would go to the library and get albums and then go home and record them on tape.
We did that too.
Yeah.
But but that's interesting. So you still listen to like a lot of 80s music to some degree.
To some degree, definitely.
Okay. Because I
did more before. I've kind of like gone in waves of like what I've been listening to.
Now you're more into funk.
Right now, currently, but who knows how long that'll last for.
All right. So, all right. Well, so it's funny. So 80s. So we were like 80s was like high school, junior high for us, right? And that's what we grew up with. And then 90s was more like our college days, right?
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, I guess like I think nostalgia kind of plays a role, and I don't really I don't really look back at my high school. I don't really look back on the 80s with a whole lot of fondness. So I don't like listen to that music all that much.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But I'll listen to like earlier stuff because I look back on those like the 70s as like nostalgic, really nostalgically.
Interesting.
But not the 80s so much.
That makes sense because a lot of it is, this reminds me of this time and this occasion or whatever, and so if that time, if it reminds you of being miserable in junior high or something, then of course, why would you want to listen to that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I wasn't like, I mean, it wasn't like the best time of my life because we moved and I had to make new friends and I was, it was just all that stuff. It was like,
right. Right.
So that's interesting. But the other thing too is like I'm terrified of getting old. I always have been. Because I never liked old people when I was a kid. I was like, they're so weird. Like why are they like that? So I've always been very conscious of like I don't want to be like the dude that's like there was this guy at my high school reunion that I talked to, and he's like, we were talking about music, and he's like, oh, 90s music, man, that's where it's at. Like that was the best music, and that's what I listen to, right? And I'm like, well, okay. I like 90s music. I like 80s music. But like if you're that guy that's all you listen to and that's your era, then you're just like then you're old, man. Right? You're like stuck in the past. You know what I mean?
It's interesting because I was having this conversation with my family where we talked about toy dolls. And some people in my family, they love music, but they're kind of music snobs where it's like, why would I want to listen to top 40 radio? Like that's garbage. Like there's so much good music in the world. Why would that be what you want to listen to? And my son is like, well, but how are you ever going to expand your horizons if you're not going to listen to what the new music is that's out there, right?
Right.
And I was like, for example, Dua Lipa's Levitate.
Dua Lipa.
Dude, Levitate, like, I don't know if there's anything super awesome about the musicmanship or whatever of the song, but man, I just love that song.
Good.
Yeah, like, that gets me going. That makes me want to dance, and, so.
Yeah, I love Dua Lipa.
And if I didn't listen to Top 40 radio, I wouldn't know of that song, but they play it on the radio, so.
Yeah, and I was talking to our friend Tony once. I remember we were talking about music. We were like texting or whatever. Well, it was probably on our Discord thing. So on Discord we were like talking about music, and I was like, and he's talking about how he's like a huge music fan and he's all into music. But then like I sent him like Dua Lipa. I think it was I think it was Levitating. I think I sent him that. I said, hey, check this out. And he's like, are you joking? Like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah, I like this. I seriously like this. And he's like, oh, well, I'm not really into like dance pop or whatever or something. And I'm like, so basically, you only like super hard, like heavy guitar type music. It's like how are you a music fan if that's all you listen to?
You know, it's funny. So when we were in high school, we were music snobs because I think
I was.
at least it seemed like everybody was to me. It seemed like your group, your social group was based on what kind of music you listened to. So there were like people who dressed up like cowboys and they like Western music, and then there were people who liked hard rock music and they dressed like in black or whatever, right?
Right.
And we like new wave, which I don't even think is a category of music anymore.
Yeah.
Now we call it alternative, right?
Right.
But back in the day, and we were very, we were very much like, oh, these are the radio stations you listen to. These are the best radio stations.
Yeah.
And we were very close. At least I was very close-minded to like country, heavy metal. But our friend got me to open up my mind and like Def Leppard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like there were like he really liked heavy metal and hard rock, and I was like, what? Like I was just automatically like closed-minded, like no, that's not the kind of music I listen to. That music sucks. That music's for other people who don't have good taste in music or whatever.
Yeah.
But then he got me to open my mind, and I was like, oh, now I can listen to Def Leppard and be like, oh, now I have nostalgia for Def Leppard, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome to the '80s were so weird. Like that, like you really did have to like. At least I felt like you had to like pick a side.
That's what it felt like.
You know what I mean?
It felt like you were in a group,
and you couldn't really cross those lines. And I was always like, you know, I'd listen to like some top 40 stuff and be like, well, is that new wave? Like if it's not new wave, then I hate it, right? And it's like,
I wonder if it was like that for other people, or if that was like our high school. Well, I didn't go to high school with you though.
Yeah, but I mean this area maybe.
Yeah.
But it was even worse here in
Davis County.
Yeah, because I don't because I don't think you guys even had like the rednecks or the cowboys or whatever, did you? At your
maybe just not very many. I don't know. I don't remember, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we had.
It seemed like it, but maybe that's because I hung out with you so much.
So we had.
I heard there's a girl who liked you that like we went on a hay ride, and she had cowboy boots, and she liked you, and I don't think you were interested in her.
If she was wearing cowboy boots, probably not. At that point. Now.
I'm trying not to use names.
It's cool. But
her name started with B.
I
don't know who I'm talking about.
I don't even know who you are.
Okay. That's alright.
Sorry, B. I'm sure you were a wonderful, wonderful person. But yeah, so like I mean, you had the cowboys, who wore their like, which was dumb anyway, because like
they weren't cowboys.
You know, they weren't. You can't be a cowboy unless you actually like ride a horse, right? But they said, oh yeah, we're cowboys. We wear like big belt buckles and baseball caps and cowboy boots and whatever. And they would listen to country music, and then we had the rockers, who sat in the back hall and smoked outside and listened to metal and rock or whatever. And then we had the new wavers, and like every now and then you'd have like a punk rocker or two that were like
extreme, like with mohawks and leather and spikes and stuff.
Yeah, and those guys were kind of like, I don't know, the punk rockers. They kind of, I don't know. I was like, oh, I can listen to new wave and punk rock. Like those were the two that were okay for me to listen to. And then, but then you just had everyone else that listened to like top 40, I guess. But like, I don't know. It was a weird time to be alive.
I remember riding home on the bus in high school, and you have all these different kinds of people on the bus, that have their different groups or different kinds of music, and oh shoot, I can't remember. I can't remember his name. Maybe I should have thought this through before I started telling the story.
Where are you going with this, Paul?
The Piano Man.
Billy Joel?
Billy Joel, yeah. Billy Joel song came on, and everybody in the bus was singing along, and I was like, whoa, we all know this song?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because Billy Joel isn't really, it's not really hard rock or new wave, but...
Right.
Anyway, I thought it was cool. It was like,
so you had
it united us all together.
A human bonding moment.
I just remember, there's, popular cheerleaders, there's, nerds like me, we're all
this was in high school?
We're all singing along, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, so I remember, and I remember at some point, maybe in the early 2000s, there was this time where you could listen to the radio, top 40 or whatever, and you'd hear alternative songs, you could hear country, you could hear rap, it was all just kind of it was kind of merging together a little bit, and I kind of liked that. I was I was oh, things are coming together, we're gonna achieve world peace with.
See, and then there's rap
through music.
I don't remember rap really being a big genre, although I remember kids breakdancing in junior high.
Yeah.
So obviously rap was there. I just don't remember it being a big genre of music.
Yeah, not really. I mean, not here, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe other places, but I mean, there were I remember in the 80s, you had the Beastie Boys.
Yeah.
And you had yeah, I just.
But you're right. It probably in California and New York, that'd probably be more. It would be more ingrained in your style of clothing and all that kind of thing, and who you hung out with and stuff.
And again, I didn't even pay attention to that stuff anyway. I was just oh, rap's stupid.
I guess it just wasn't very popular here because I don't remember it being a big deal.
Yeah, but so and it's funny. I think I like to think I'm sort of on the cutting edge of music, but but my son, he's 20 and he'll play his music in the car, and I'm just oh my gosh, this sucks so bad.
What kind of music does he like?
Well, he likes just a lot of. He likes some things I like, but he likes really heavy thrash metal and
oh man
stuff, and I like some of that stuff, but if it's just noise, I'm just it's not for me.
Yeah, I was so glad. I've told my kids this. I'm so glad that you guys like the kind of music that I like, that I can appreciate, because I would not. I would go crazy. And I think that causes conflict between parents and kids, because then the kids feel like they have to go in their room and shut the door to listen to their music. And
yeah, that was me. I remember your parents used to let you guys play your music in the house and stuff, and that was really cool.
Were you with us when we got oh man. You spin me, rise round, baby, rise round. I can't remember. I got that. I just remember getting that tape and being really excited to play it. And we went to my house and turned it on. And one of my friends just cranked the volume in my house, and I was like, "Yeah, we can turn the volume really loud." But I was kind of like, "Dude, you're
you're
really
pushing it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you there for that?
I don't think so.
No. Oh well, I have a clear memory of that.
Yeah. But I try to be open to new stuff, and the cool thing now too is you used to be limited here in the USA, for example, to what's on the radio, right? And we would play you would just hear what's on the radio, and the DJs, whatever they played is what you heard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now it's with the internet and everything, I'm listening to bands in Norway and Finland and all over the place, right? Which is awesome, because all these bands that I never would have heard of before, now you can listen to all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Anyway, so what else about music?
Oh, I was also gonna say one of our close friends. I remember him telling me that his kids loved like screamo, thrash metal, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad my kids don't like that kind of music because that'd be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a friend too, who like speaking of the '80s, right? Like every he still like loves Gene Loves Jezebel.
Whoa.
Do you remember Gene Loves Jezebel?
Kind of.
So
I mean, I remember the name of that band, but I couldn't tell you what they sang.
So I mean, yeah,
They're probably like a one-hit wonder or something, aren't they?
Yeah, they were. I mean, kinda. I mean, they were just. I don't even know if like. I don't know. I don't even know if they had a worldwide following. Maybe they did.
Huh.
But like that, he still like loves that band, and I'm just like, dude, seriously? Like, I don't. Again, like you're like you're stuck in the past. Like, why do you still listen to that? I don't know.
It's funny because Oingo Boingo was my favorite band back in the 80s.
Yeah.
But then,
and I liked Oingo Boingo.
As an adult listening to them now, I'm like, I can see why I like them because there's definitely things about them that I like.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't. I wouldn't want to just listen to them all the time though.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll I'll listen to them on occasion, I guess. But like.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway. But yeah, you gotta like just like all kinds of music, right? You should. I mean, you should at least be open to it. I feel like I am mostly.
Yeah.
And I've gone through my country phase and my rap phase and my rock phase and new wave, obviously.
Last time I talked to you, you said you liked rock opera.
Oh yeah, like symphonic metal.
Symphonic metal.
Yeah, that stuff's cool. It's way cool. It's like Nightwish, Epica. I'm gonna go see Epica in September. They're coming here.
Sweet.
They're from Norway, and like, yeah, they're just. I like that. Although, like, that as a genre seems to be kind of dying, because like
it's not as popular anymore.
Well, there just aren't like any cool bands in that genre that are coming up. Like there are like 3 really good bands in that genre, and they've been the good bands for like the whole time, and now it's like they're getting older and no one else is like taking their place. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't know. But
yep, I agree. I remember when I was in college in the 90s and my life was stressful. I was going through a divorce, and like listening to people screaming at me on the radio, like grunge was really popular back then. I was like, no, thank you.
It just put you off.
Like my life is stressful enough. I don't need to have somebody yelling at me when I'm trying to relax. And so
you wanted more relaxing, like.
Even if it was like something stupid that I didn't even like, this isn't necessarily my style of music, but it's just like, okay, this is relaxing.
Yeah, or something you didn't have to think about.
Yeah.
It was just like, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, that'll affect, I guess your moods will affect kind of what kind of music you listen to, like.
Yeah, if you want something upbeat to
yeah.
dance to or whatever.
Yeah.
Or if you want something to relax to.
Yeah. Anyway. I guess that's about it. That was good. We talked about music. What kind of music do you like? Leave a comment below.
And I'd be really interested to hear what you guys want. Like, if you're watching our videos, like, what would you like us to talk about? Like, what are you interested in? So that, since you're our audience, let us know.
Yeah. They won't say anything like that.
They won't. Okay.
But leave a comment. Let us know.
And if you're in South America and you post a comment in Spanish, well, I'll understand it because I'm a Spanish teacher.
Yeah, and I'll use Google Translate. So anyway. Alright guys, thanks for joining us. I am the Notorious B.I.V. This is Paul, and we will see you in the next video.